my sweet stars, and welcome or welcome back to With a Witch, where we do stuff with me, a witch. Today, we're going to be taking inspiration from June, the month of Pride, and exploring all the colors of the rainbow with a color correspondence spread. As a bonus, I just got in a set of Crayola Supertips, so I'll be getting to explore the color and behavior of those as well. Multi-purpose, we love it. The bulk of what I'll be doing here is just coloring this page in. It's not very exciting. I've set up stripes that I'll be filling in. You can very loosely see them penciled in there, so I won't be narrating too much of exactly what I'm doing in this case. It's all just coloring in. You know how to color things in. We're here to chat about color correspondences, not to tell you how to color. So let's do just that. The first thing to know about me and color correspondences is that, like in almost all things, I'm not super down to just take the list of correspondences out of any old book and adopt it as my own. There are some things, of course, that are fairly universal in terms of color, that are just a little more rooted in evolution and psychology. So blue is more calming than red, which in turn tends to be fairly aggressive, even sexual. Orange and yellow tend to be associated with happiness and joy. Green, at least for Americans, is associated with finances and wealth. That sort of thing. There are some relatively universal associations for color in a broad spectrum. However, the benefit of looking at color correspondences beyond the basic rainbow is that you can get a little bit past those very surface level correspondences and get into your own personal associations with each color. That first red color, for instance, just screams to me of strawberries, which I in turn associate with childhood and summertime and watermelon and barbecues and the beach. So that's what we'll be doing with this page, going beyond the basic correspondences and into something a little deeper, or at least a little more personal. The seam on this page will continue to bug me quite a bit. These pages lie flat so nicely in the Barren Fig, but the seam is extremely tight. I actually ripped the tip of one of my new markers on it, which was absolutely devastating. I make it work, but if I had been thinking prior to doing this, I might have put washi tape or something over the seam and then worked around it, making it something of a break in the pattern instead of a place to just fight with. I was really surprised by how few orange markers there were in this set of Supertips. I know orange isn't the most popular color, but I really did expect more than 3, and even one of those is really more of a brown on paper. Maybe I'm just biased because I love orange shades. They are remarkably underrated, but they really can be truly gorgeous. Sunset orange, orange juice orange, marigold orange, pumpkin orange, fall leaf orange. I mean, come on. In this set of markers, I was really feeling that the first orange was a marigold type color, life and death and fire and creativity. And then the second orange felt aggressive to me, neon, like fast food marketing for some reason. Relative to the oranges, we had comparably few yellows, at least compared to expectation. My favorite was the yellow on the end of that first row, which felt to me like lemons, especially lemon zest and lemon curd, which to me is friendship and sharing and kindness, and like the sweet, tart, zingy sort of energy. We're onto our greens now, and we have so many of these, some of which look remarkably similar up close, though from a distance reviewing the video, they are standing out a bit more, so that's helpful at least. The middle color on the second row immediately spoke to me of algae thick ponds and swamp edges and deep ocean before it rains, that union of earth and water and the abyss. And the first green one on its own row didn't speak to me immediately, but now is almost unmistakably one of my high school colors, so I'm feeling stress and academics and late nights and learning from that one. Now for the absolute abundance of blues. I had a hard time with these colors, and I'm not sure why. None of them really called to me, which is kind of surprising since I consider blue one of my all-time favorite colors, but none of these particular shades were really engaging me. I stared at them for a long time, both while coloring them and afterwards, trying to come up with something, anything. And I finally had two thoughts. The first is that the blue at the end of the second row reminds me of the color of shallow ocean from above, like from an airplane, and so of relaxation and reading on the beach and an escape from the daily grind. And then the middle blue on the last row I recalled is the exact color of one of my favorite fleece sweatshirts that I wear in the springtime. And once I made that connection, it felt like cool wind across sweat and of something young and fresh and bright. Into purples and then pinks, and I had a couple thoughts here. For one, the purple at the end of the first row is the exact color of the comforter in my parents' room, so it felt immediately like cleanliness and refined comfort and peace and hugs. And then that middle pink on the first row, or what is basically the first pink on that row, since the technical first pink is just that tiny little corner. Anyway, that pink reminds me so much of a freshly scrubbed pig. I do not know why. Realistically, that's not the color of any pig that has ever lived, ever. But that's what my brain said, so I'm gonna go with it. Sometimes correspondences don't have to make sense to anyone else. They just have to make sense to you. While I finish up with the browns and blacks here, I just want to explain what I plan to use this page for. Because despite the extra personalization that you get from identifying correspondences for individual colors, which extra personalization is always a benefit in my book, there's two slight issues with it. One, some correspondences, like the pig pink, seem almost too specific to be at all useful to me. Like, what kind of spell would I use a pig pink for, unless I felt like playing it being Cersei for a minute. And two, these are, at the end of the day, Crayola marker colors. Am I really intending to use markers in my spells? The answer to that second question is quick and easy, so I'll answer it first. For the most part, yes. Spell components don't have to be fancy and aesthetic and mystical. Sometimes a spell can involve coloring something on an index card or a coloring book page, meditating with it, and generating energy that looks and feels like it for whatever purpose you need. It can be as simple as that. Sigils drawn with a marker of a particular color are also a favorite of mine. You could also carve into candles and fill in the carved section with the marker ink. You just don't want to do that too much in advance of the spell you plan to use it for, as it will very quickly come off of that wax at basically any prompting. So in short, yes, I do indeed plan on using Crayola markers in my spell work. The first question is a little more complicated to answer, but not by too much. The thing to remember about people is that we are creatures of association. That's how we understand language and memories and thoughts. Everything is in context, in association with the thing around it or before it or after or all of the above. So if you're planning on doing something similar to this, just remember to keep associating until you have something you feel like you can feasibly work with. So for Pig Pink, I went from clean pigs to farm animals to something that's clean against its nature, like it's just daring someone to put mud on it, to toddlers on photo day, to something that's too clean, too perfect, too scrubbed raw. And that last is something that I can work with in a spell. Like when I feel so laden with something that I just need to scrub myself impeccably clean, or opposingly when I feel so uptight, too presentable, too buttoned up, and I need a push to let that go. That pink is something that just calls out for mud. The point is to let yourself be creative. My last step here is just to go through and start writing in some of the correspondences that we've talked about. Eventually all of these will be filled in, but for now, we'll settle with what's grabbed at me. I hope you enjoyed coloring with me. If you did, please give this video a like, it'll really help me out. If you made it all the way to the end here, be sure to drop a rainbow in the comments. Also, let me know what your favorite color of the Crayola rainbow is, and if you have any unique correspondences to it. If you'd like to do more things with me, a witch, be sure to subscribe. And until next time, I hope your days are full of color, and you have a joyous month of Pride. Bye.